Hi everyone, Dexter from A2K. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar, Migrate from 2D CAD to 3D Revit and more, a live demo for interior designers. We will have technical consultant Letitia Pescador presenting for us. So just about A2K ourselves, we're all about fostering innovation through our consulting and training. A2K Technologies plays a vital role in helping the infrastructure, building, mining, construction, architecture, and manufacturing industries reach their full potential by delivering complete technology solutions and support services such as education, training, recruitment, and IT managed services. We work with clients and companies of any size nationally and abroad. Over to you, Letitia.
Thank you, Dexter. So guys, very welcome to this presentation. So this is just a little bit about myself. So I've joined A2K about 4 years ago, and I'm one of the technical consultants within A2K. I've worked previously for about 4 years within a role as a project architect, where I also was involved with a lot of interior design projects. So I'm one of the technical consultants that do most of the implementations for architectural urban design as well as interior design within A2K. I have a bachelor degree in architecture as well, and I've been using Revit for quite some time now. So today's presentation, I want to give you guys an overview of a few key functionalities within Revit software and the comparison within AutoCAD and 2D tools. So pretty much Revit will be a single database, which means when data is changing, it will be updated globally, which will help you guys within updates of drawings, because those changes should be reflected globally if it's in regards to geometry and information. You're gonna gain efficiency as you progress and you start learning more and more about using Revit. You're gonna mitigate the problems because those drawings will be automatically updated, so you don't need to be double checking where they are, if the geometry has gone, or redraw things over and over again, which will also then enable better coordination if you need to work with an architect and they're already providing you RVT files. And also you can start quickly creating 3D views like that one that I have on the screen, which is pretty much just geometry and line work. A few of the key functionalities, it's pretty much the bidirectional associativity, which is pretty much a single database. One of the meanings for Revit is revising instantly, which means updates are done and the changes are globally. So when you start changing either schedules, tags, or geometry, those changes will be reflected across the entire model within any floor plan, elevations, sections, etc. You're always dealing with a single database. One of the great benefits as well is the parametric relationship. And this will help users on creating different sizes within geometry. So families can be built with those relationships, which then once changes are done, those changes can then impact instances or objects within your model, or sometimes depending on what those parameters are related to, it may impact the entire family as well. Revit will also have work sharing capability, which means you're going to be able to have a central file which may be hosted within a local server, a network location where multiple people may have access, as well as in the cloud through BIM 360 design tools. And that enables a team of users to work from the same central file, so they can work at the same time with the same model. I'm not going to be demonstrating the work sharing capability, but the Revit full version will definitely enable that too out of the box. Okay, so then from here, I will jump into the live demo. So I will just minimize this PowerPoint screen, and I will bring my Revit screen. So within AutoCAD, so I have a CAD drawing here, and you guys probably used to that. You jump into a view, you do some changes, and then you need to start reviewing all your elevations, sections, etc. Make sure all those changes are reflected within a 2D drawings. When we're talking about Revit, we can then start using, so if I just quickly start a new project, we can use those existing DWGs to start our drawings. So pretty much, if I just start a new project here, Revit will have similar capabilities. So it will have capabilities to link drawings, which means this is pretty much as doing a XREF within, it's a similar behavior of doing an XREF within AutoCAD. And then from here, I could pretty much start using my drawing tools and start placing walls within those locations. I could swap types around. And also I can start placing like doors, windows, in geometry. So this is pretty much one of the capabilities that you can use those drawings from AutoCAD to then start your design. Within AutoCAD drawings, you can also start hiding or deleting certain objects that are not necessary without impacting the DWG as well. From here, we'll jump out this project, and I will show you one of the sample projects I have, which is an interior sample project that I've been developing with a few locations. So within Revit, I can have like my existing plans, which may be a certain location, and maybe are going to be focused within this area of this building. So this is a school project, and I will be doing the restaurant and the lobby here. This is my existing plan. I will have capability to pretty much start creating demolition plans using the phasing tool that comes with Revit out of the box. And then later on, those objects that have been demolished can be pretty much hidden, or they will just appear depending on the phase you're using. And then you're going to be start working within the drawings that you're going to be using for your drafting your design. Revit will have pretty much capabilities to dimension entire objects quite quickly. So here I just quickly placed a string of dimensions within the wall. So it will have capabilities to dimension the entire wall at one go. The phase two, it will change those behaviors within the color coding of those objects that require to be removed. From the interior perspective, you can, a lot of the people that I've worked with uses Revit pretty much to at the early stage to start documenting. So for documentation reasons, you guys can have things such as area plans to quickly create areas for the different floor types you may require within those projects. So if I go to my area plan here, I can create area boundaries within my project. So I may just add one within the location. And then I can start adding those areas within the location. When I'm doing the area, I may want to change. So in this case, I'm using the name of the area to pretty much create the type of the floor. And if the area boundary gets updated, this tag, which is reading live information from that area, will automatically update as well. From here, if this is one of the choosing workflows, there's other capabilities that we can start using to get this more automation. So we can start color coding this floor plan, and we can create pretty much color schemas to be applied within those locations with different hats to represent the different floor types. Users will also be able to create colorful legends automatically based on the hatches and the information that we've been using. So this is customizable. Further down the track, we can also create schedules to quantify the total of those finishes as well. From here, I will jump into one of my GA plan. So start talking about Revit and not talking about families within an interior perspective. It's very hard. So when we're talking about families, Revit will have the capability to pretty much enable users to have different visual styles towards the different detail views. So for example, you can start with placeholders and generic families just to represent those spaces. And here, those families, sometimes depending on how they have been built, we can start changing the detail level depending on the scale of your drawings. Annotating objects in Revit. So we tend to use tags as much as we can. Tags in Revit, they use smart annotations. So as an example, if I want to add my room tags within those locations so I know which locations I'm working with, I can click to select my room tags because they were already created, and then it will apply those tags all across this floor plan. From here, I will jump into my title block for the restaurant. So this is a title block I have put together with different views of the restaurant area. Within the title block here, I can pretty much, all the views within Revit interface will get populated with the reference and the information as soon as they are placed within title blocks. As an example, this call out here is referring to this floor plan. If I remove that floor plan from my title block, the call out becomes blank. If that view is placed within a different title block, it populates that back within the correct information. If I place that back within the same title block, you will then get that bubble populated again. And this is a similar behavior for my elevation markers as well. So if I go and if I delete a marker, being a call-out marker, an elevation marker, or even a section marker, which is pretty much the section that is listed within my project browser, that will be automatically deleting the views as well. So Revit will pop up messages to warn you guys that any change that you perform to the model is live reflected, which means by deleting a section, it deletes the view itself. If I go back and I recreate then the section again, that will then recreate that section within my drawing. Also, other things that we can start achieving within those drawings, if you have information, so as an example, within this title block, I have my floor plan view, and I will also add one of my schedules within this view. So I have a furniture schedule here that I've created earlier, which is pretty much reflecting the quantity of the furnitures that I have been placing within my drawings. This is automatically calculated based on how many times I have placed an object within my views. Which means if I go here and I select this chair, which is my chair drawer within my schedule, this is pretty much what's correspondent to that chair power. If I go and I start deleting an object, I select and I delete, the quantities for the schedule will automatically get populated. In a similar way, we could add the room names and automatically within views. I could also start tagging this view. And I will have different ways I can tag. So I can tag pretty much by selecting objects. I can tag by the view. And I will use this option again to just tag my furniture, which will pretty much apply tags and codes to all the furniture within those drawings. If I then decide that I may want to change this chair to a different seat, I can go to my project browser. I can find a different chair or seat within my project, and I can then, it will then automatically swap the family and it will update the tag. If the family doesn't have any information within the value that the tag is speaking, that will pretty much be blank, but I can just select my tag and then type it in a code straight in the tag for that drawing. Also a great tool that Revit will enable for users. Revit will have, especially for the interiors perspective, Revit will have a design options capability, which will enable users to create multiple layouts and even different geometry locations. So within this drawing, I have created a different layout, which represents like square tables instead of round tables. Notice that as soon as I change my design option, it gets updated across any views. So this is always globally reflected. Going back to my floor plan here, other things that we can talk about, it's about families. So more in depth about families. Lots of the manufacturers within Australia, they already have components for Revit, so you guys are going to be able to download families, etc. When we create parametric components like this chest of drawer, it will have dimensions that will allow myself to start updating the sizes. So here I have used a tag to specify the material for the casework, but here I have just used text. So tags, they directly related to geometry, which means if I delete the object, it gets deleted. If I update, it updates. Text, on the other hand, they just pretty much standard text that needs to be updated if things change. In this example here, if I want to remove maybe one chest of the drawers and I want to make those slightly bigger, I could just pretty much start using start pushing and pulling to create a bigger size. And that will allow me to update the width of those caseworks as an example. This casework will have parametric relationship, which enables that task to be performed. When we're talking about parametric relationships and parametric families, from the interior design perspective, it's good to have a base library so you guys can have some of those components that are used over and over within parametric relationships. Things that are not really something that you're going to be reutilizing across multiple projects can then be created as just joinery details, custom joinery details as an example. So this is another family that I have created, and I will jump into that family just to show you. When we're creating families, we don't need to be very fancy. So this is pretty much boxes and line work to represent my drawings. I've also loaded some families that I have downloaded from the manufacturers, as well as sinks. So I could have those components added within that family as well. This family will have pretty much elevations that are also created within those views. So you can create line work to represent shelves, etc. And you can also create very famous components if that's required. So from here, anything and any update that I did will get automatically changed. So that drawer that I have updated got automatically updated within that floor plan as well. The other great functionality about Revit is that if you're using 3D components, everything will be already in 3D. And Revit will allow users to very quickly create cameras to start understanding the design. So if I go and I click here to place one of the cameras looking towards the bar, that will automatically generate that camera for myself within a different view. I can make that a little bit bigger. I can make that look like the same image that I had within my PowerPoint if I want to show my client, but I don't have that yet detailed to a high level with information and materials, etc. So what they will do, they will pretty much just give that sketchy look to those drawings, so you guys can start talking about finishes, etc. Also, if those materials have been created, you can then start changing them very quickly from hidden lines to shaded, etc. Wireframe, etc. So here within my browser, I have created a few images to just show you on how that does work. So if I jump into one of my entry views here, which is the hidden line, I also gonna have like realistic looks, which is just a matter of changing the visual style within this view. Playing a little bit further with those 3D views, Revit will also enable users to create renders within the software who never left the software rendering overnight and doing renders for hours, but also will have the render in cloud functionality, which will allow users to then start rendering those projects in the cloud, which means you hand the task over to Autodesk servers to perform the task for you. And then we can access the render gallery later on, download those pictures, etc. Before I go ahead and I show you the render gallery, the last cool thing I want to show you is that Revit can also create walkthroughs within those projects. So this is a walkthrough that I've quickly created. Similar behavior, we can have different visual styles for that render. So if I just quickly go through that walkthrough and I play it, it will pretty much just walk within my project. Those walkthroughs are not yet rendered in a cloud, so they will take a few hours to be rendered within the render engine, depending on how big they are, how much information you may have, and your computer specs as well. Once you create those walkthroughs, even though it's going through specific locations that I have selected, any updates to the model will impact those walkthroughs that we created. So if you start changing layouts and you start swapping furniture, etc., that will all be automatically reflected as well. So this is just a generic idea of what you guys can do within out-of-the-box features in Revit. From here, I will show you also a few of the renders I have done in the cloud, so I can show you a few other cool things that you can achieve with that. So this is a render that I have done as a panorama within the restaurant area. This is exactly the same drawing. Those panoramas can then be pretty much plugged into those cardboards or Google VR, which will enable users to have that immersive visualization of the projects. And that will allow you to pretty much rotate around, look up and down, etc. Also, you can do like proper images. So this is a 3D image that I've done from that LOD within the project. And within here, we can also start creating like, we can do a little bit of post-processing within this images, so we can change a little bit of the exposure values, etc. And also those images can be downloaded. The other cool thing within the panoramas that I just forgot to mention, you can get QR codes for those images to be open within mobile devices as well. So from here, another thing that I will go back to my presentation. And guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them within the Q&A, and I will be addressing them very, very shortly. Going back to my PowerPoint, I want to give you a few tips as well within implementing Revit. So I have worked with several companies, and there are a few key points that are required to be in place in order to have a successful implementation, because that will make your life easier. Having a good Revit template that contains all the tags and the families you may require, the tag families you require to use, title blocks and view created will be a big plus for your office. So you ensure that all your standards are translated as close as possible to Revit format. Schedules can be pre-created within the templates, and then they become populated as we populate the drawings, as we place furniture, as we place doors, etc. A family library. People who work in different fields within interior design. So sometimes you do more of commercial, some people will do a little bit more residential, some people will do offices, both, etc. So having a basic library with generic models that you can start building your models will be a big plus. And then those families, this library will then start developing as you guys progress with your drawings and your projects in Revit. A lot of the companies have the content for Revit available. So Herman Miller, Coroma, Bosch, Miele, etc. are some of the companies that have already. And the other point that I want to emphasize for the implementation, it's the right attitude. So being willing to learn and implement something new will be a big plus to make sure this is successfully done. I would like to open for any questions you guys may have. So I will open the Q&A box in here. Feel free to also type in the chat if you guys have any questions. I can't see any questions within the Q&A box. Okay, I got a question. We understand there is difference in the LOD, so the level of detail within those drawings. Can you demonstrate through some? Yeah, so the LOD of those models, and especially families, they are based on the way those families have been created. So if I quickly jump into this GA plan as an example, where I have furniture drawings in families. So when creating families, we can specify different look and add extra details for those families. So this is upon creation, which means I can change those families to just be placeholder, medium families, which doesn't have as much detail, etc. And this is reflected globally in Revit. So like walls, as an example, they also gonna have a different look when they are in a coarse level of detail. In regards drawings and manufacturing drawings, etc. Also, there are lots of things that you may be visible only within detail. So you can create detail views and 2D detail components to give you that extra level of detail that you need on those specific caseworks, custom joinery, etc. So it can be either embedded within the family, or it can be something that you add as you develop further through your drawings as well. Can you explain Revit LG functions? Yes. So Revit LG functions in regards to a interior perspective, it's pretty much within the LT functions, you're not going to have most of the options for other disciplines. So you have a lot less options within structural tabs. So you're not going to have all those features available, system tabs for MEP, consultants, etc. Even though you may be working with someone that belongs from a different discipline than yourself, you're going to still be able to link their drawings if they have MEP components. The Revit LT will also have libraries which contain components from all the disciplines. So you get the full library with out of the box with the LT. The LT version won't have work sharing capabilities and design options as well. Revit LT will be a basic version of Revit. Also within Revit LT, you can only render in cloud. You cannot render within the software itself. LT version, if you create a drawing within the LT version, that can be sent to anyone, anyway, and you can open with a full version and vice versa as well. I think that has answered. You have shown us about a kitchen cabinet with a box and line work. How did you set up as a parametric family? So even though you're using line work like what we did within the restaurant cabinetry, you can attach caseworks and line work to reference planes and make them parametric. So that casework here, it's a parametric one, and it's pretty much just using line work as well. So this is a behavior of the way the family has been created, but it's pretty much able to be achieved. It doesn't need to be 3D geometry all the time. People will have different ways when they're detailing, so it depends on how far that in depth you want to go with those families. As you become more proficient, it gets easier, but at the beginning it will be a little bit challenging. What is the idea of modeling the kitchen furniture as a casework? Okay, So Revit will have all those categories predefined within the software. So, and we tend to use caseworks, so you can classify those families. We tend to use caseworks for custom joinery because the furniture category, so you can categorize as furniture, but the furniture category doesn't get cut. So if you need to cut this casework in the middle to show a section, that will always display an elevation if that casework has been categorized as a furniture. That's why we always use casework for joinery. Do you have any samples of using Revit for industrial pipework design that you can show us, or is it primarily for architectural? Robert, I'm happy to get your details, and I will get the MEP guys to send you more information on that. So we have MEP text to pretty much go through those. When walls are drawn in Revit on the 2D linked AutoCAD file, if the 2D file is updated in AutoCAD, do the walls in Revit move to? No, they don't. So they still two separated drawings. The relationship within AutoCAD, it's pretty much creating that underlay that you can link to start your work. But it won't get updated automatically. The idea is that you're going to use AutoCAD just to start your drawings, but then you're going to be creating those walls in Revit. They still separated platforms with a different file format. So they're going to need to be used as just underlays. Can you still coordinate with constants who have full version if you only have Revit LG? Yes, definitely. So you're going to be able to link their drawings and coordinate with them. Pretty much possible. Okay, let me just check if I don't have any other questions. So I have a few questions through the chat here as well. How AutoCAD blocks can be converted into families. Yeah, so it depends on what types of blocks you have in AutoCAD. So there is ways we can bring AutoCAD drawings to start families, but ideally we will rebuild that family within Revit line work and Revit geometry as well. Especially if you're going to need to create like parametric relationships, assign materials, etc. If it's just a 2D component, you could pretty much just get the outline and then use that as a placeholder to begin with Revit as an example. Also, details that are already in AutoCAD can be used or can be translated as you need them. And then you can have a library of details that you can use across multiple projects as well. What is your opinion on using line-based families for cabinetry versus parametric-driven families? Using the drag arrows of values in the properties to modify the family as per your presentation. Yeah, so this is a big this is a big question within interior. So my suggestion is you usually create parametric families as you need that family over and over again. So caseworks is a good example. So if you're going to be doing kitchen joinery in those caseworks or maybe vanities, this is an example where having parametric families will be work because you can have certain types and then you just adjust sizes within projects as required. You can have pretty much different finishes applied, etc. Anything that is very specific to a project, I would say we probably won't do that as parametric. Parametric families will take a lot more time to be created. So it has to be worked on the track in order to reutilize that family over and over again. Can customized families be preloaded into a template, or they do need to be imported for each project? So yes, so your template, Revit has two main types of families. One, there are system families, which are pretty much your walls, so wall types, ceilings, floors, etc. So those are the type of the families that you may want to have them within your template pre-created, at least the types that you use most. So you're going to have at least stud walls, curtain walls, etc. pre-created, so you're ready to go. If you have a good template with those developed, the loadable families, which are the furniture, we suggest to load them as you need within a project because their impacts within the size. If you have a lot of families and your library is massive, that will increase so much the size of your template for the users to use maybe just certain families. So loadable families are always recommended to be within a library, and then you load as you need. If it's something that you use all the time, like maybe certain caseworks, definitely you can have those in a project. Okay. How AutoCAD block can be converted into a family? I think I just answered that. Is there any way you can tell if CAD file is corrupted, the Revit model, and what can you do to fix it? Yeah. So Revit and AutoCAD, they're friends, but they're not best friends, I would say. So when you're doing CAD drawings in Revit, there are workflows to follow best practices to avoid issues, but those issues are usually related if users are importing CAD drawings instead of linking, and also when people start exploding CAD drawings. And there are workflows that can address that. Usually we can fix it, so we can remove those drawings, we can try troubleshooting, but it varies drastically from file to file. Is there AutoCAD term field-like function to create a title block in Revit? Sorry, I will need to get back to you on that. When linking 3D CAD files, will it be automatically created in Revit with families? There will be 3D geometry. They won't behave as Revit families. So you still need to create those families, and if you need to modify them in Revit, that's definitely something that you cannot do with the CAD drawings. Import CAD or link CAD drawing difference, please. So importing CAD, you're pretty much placing that drawing within a specific plan, and that CAD drawing will live within a Revit file. When you're linking, you create a reference within that DWG. It's like your XREF. If you receive new CAD drawings that are updated, by linking, you can reload new versions of those CAD drawings, and then they will get updated in Revit as well. Okay. Let me just check, guys. Do you have any other questions about functionalities? I can see the chat, so let me just double check the chat. Yep, so the chat is all good. I think I'll address those as well. Okay, so guys, let me just quickly go back here to my presentation. I would like to pretty much say that I will be reaching you guys, and we can have quick discussions about workflows and any other questions you guys may have further from here. So please don't hesitate to reach us. I will hand that back to Dexter to finalize, but I would like to thank you all guys for attending this presentation. And feel free to just reach me if you have any further questions. We're gonna get in touch shortly.
Thank you, Letitia. And thanks again, guys, for joining us in today's webinar. If you have any more questions, you can always contact us via email at info@a2ktechnologies.com.au. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.